witches getting executed that go back to the 11th century. What is the reason to why these witches were killed? Were they really such evil people that deserved this type of punishment? Or did people judge without knowing the stories behind them? First of all, let's analyze the meaning of the main word used throughout this video, a witch. A witch is someone who practices and develops her knowledge to help and heal people. But just like everything in life, if there is good, there is bad, which means that there were also bad witches that used magic to harm people. Now, if you ask any person what a witch is, the chances are that they will come up with an image of an old hook-nosed lady with a pointy hat, rides a broomstick, probably owns a cat and stirs a cauldron. But where did this image come from? In the past, all witches that used magic came from religion. Most of them cured people with all the knowledge that they picked up from religion, as well as medical, philosophical, and psychological knowledge that they used. But because during those times people were illiterate, they said that these women did miracles. From here, people started saying that they were going to the witch to get their problem solved. Now, let's go back in time and travel to the year 1099, when all of this started. Long ago, there was a man who went by the name of Pope Urban II. This man was the founder of the Crusades. Now, I believe everyone knows the Crusades as a group of people that traveled through a number of countries, such as France, Italy, Germany, as well as Constantinople, Palestine, Egypt, and lastly North America. They were said to kill Muslims, Jews, or any other religion that took over a great amount of countries. But sadly, this was all a lie. So let's see who the Crusades really were. The Crusades were a group of people whose law was to kill anyone that dared disobey them. With this, they decided to exterminate all people that said they had some type of power, as well as claimed to be a prophet, saint, or witch. And the reason to why they wanted to get rid of such people was to stop them from getting out of hand. Therefore, they first decided to exterminate all witches by burning them at stake, because it was said that if a witch was burned alive, her powers burned with her. Now, let's listen to the stories of two witches that lived during the Seventh Crusade. There was once a woman named Daniela, who was an Egyptian Copt, whose father died when she was 9. Daniela was a charismatic woman who gained knowledge from her mother's ancestors and chose to follow a path in life in which she cured people with herbal remedies, helped disabled kids, and also dealt with spirits. But unfortunately, back then, people misunderstood her for her deeds and called her a witch. During one of many days that Daniela lived, her relative came to ask for her help to succeed in life. Of course, being the humble woman that she was willing to help. So, she started teaching him life lessons on how to socialize and communicate with people around him. Eventually, he succeeded from her teachings and became the town's next king. This king was a very selfish man who lived his everyday life in fear that his secret of how he became successful would finally be out in the world. So when the Crusades arrived in Egypt back in 1248, he was the first to betray Daniela, and so she was killed. Here is a quote that Daniela said before dying. God gave people knowledge to give, but the one that doesn't want to give will burn from the fire that sits within his heart. And as you can guess, 6 years after her death, the king was found burnt to ashes in his own kingdom. Next is the story of Rana. Rana was a self-taught witch who from a young age was fascinated with the elements of life. So she decided to follow a path in which she started using energies and powers that she developed from isolation. While isolating herself, Rana examined people from the way they act to the way they speak, and with time, she opened up her home for people that needed to be cured from diseases such as schizophrenia and psychological issues. But because she healed so many people, Her name shone brighter than the stars in the midnight sky. One day, a man decided to bring his daughter, who had psychological problems, to Rana so that she could get cured. When the girl saw and heard the beautiful yet peaceful tone Rana spoken, the girl did exactly what she was told. And after a month of living with Rana, the girl was cured and headed back home. When she arrived back home, she told all people that Rana was truly a witch, because back in the day, it was a good thing to call someone a witch. It meant that a person had knowledge. But with time, people developed and created many rumors which spread everywhere. The rumors said that witches were on Satan's side. So, people developed a fear, and from this fear, people changed the image of what a witch is from good to bad. Eventually, after a long journey, the Crusades came to an end, and this was when the dark times came along. Normally, you would think that people would be happy that the killings had come to an end. But unfortunately, together with the killings came an end to all knowledge. This was done to keep people illiterate so that they could take over them. This was when people became angry, so they started a protest from which every country got a king to rule over, and slowly the name of the Crusades disappeared. This leads us to the next biggest period of witch trials the world has ever experienced. The European witch trials were the biggest witch trials after the Crusades that went on for 70 years all throughout Europe. It started in 1560 in Trier, Germany, and continued to Fulda, Basque, Wurzburg, Bamberg, Scotland, Sweden, and lastly, the most famous event of them all, the Salem witch trials in New England. let's jump backwards to January 1692, when 9-year-old Elizabeth Parris and 11-year-old Abigail Williams started showing signs of weird behavior. They contortioned their bodies into weird positions, threw fits, and claimed that someone was biting them. After being examined by a doctor, they were said to be bewitched. And on February 1692, the girls accused 3 women for bewitching them. The 3 women accused were Tituba, Sarah Osborne, and Sarah Good. 3 women, Sarah Osborne and Sarah Good, denied their actions and would soon die due to the trials. However, the other woman accused, named Tituba, admitted to bewitching the girls, as she stated, "The devil came to me and bid me serve him." After this event, the first convicted witch was hung to death on Gallows Hill in Salem town, together with 18 more women, and went by the name of Bridget Bishop. Next, 150 men, women, as well as children were accused in the next couple of months, and in the next year, there was a total of 200 people accused. As the witch trials came to an end in 18,000, with a total of 12,000 people executed. Finally, we hear stories that say there were witches that used satanic magic to steal or rule over people. Sadly, people who do such things don't have knowledge. They have pacts with Satan to cause bad towards others. You might have realized that people mixed up good with bad and planted an image into people's minds that witches are bad and that you shouldn't come close to them. But after researching, we found that not all people were bad. Some just had knowledge, but were still killed, so that their name would not be respected more than religion. Therefore, from here, we will restart life from a new page by researching and categorizing everything correctly before judging.